some of the stuff I feel I need to say. But just to underline what Greg said and in some ways contradict it, the actual belly of the beast is not in Washington, D.C. I've met the beast and it is us. And I've got to tell you, after having had 2.5 million people tell me to take my constitutions and buzz off, in a single day, twice in a row, I can tell you what the power of voters is. Y'all are completely in charge. The politicians we keep blaming for stuff, they're, like you were saying, they're hired hands. And it's kind of like if you're going to hire somebody to do the housekeeping in your business, if you're going to hire a yard keeper or something, when you're looking for somebody, you're not saying, this is about this yard keeper candidate. No, there should be something bigger than that. There should be something far bigger than the candidates in this process. The choice is yours. The candidate is somebody that you're looking at to fill a certain role. And what I want to talk about tonight is what that certain role is. Because for the last 20 years now, I've really had only one mission. And it's kind of a significant one, but it's dirt simple. We live in a country where laws don't matter. The words that we write down as laws, hey Joe, I didn't see you there before. Howdy. The laws don't matter. We have judges who decide what laws mean. You have legislators who write laws, certainly, but they're not really enforced by anybody in particular. Executives can decide to enforce laws or not. We have bureaucratic agencies that write up their own laws, even though Article 1 of the federal Constitution says only the legislature can write laws. We've got people spitting out words all over the place. And that some of them have the effect of laws, some of them are called laws that have no effect at all, like our immigration laws, for instance. And so really all I want is, you can put it in sort of 3 simple phrases. I want rules to live by that are few enough that everybody can know them, so that, if I ask you, what are the rules we have to live by, you really should know what the rules are that you live by. And 2, they should be simple enough that everybody can understand them. And that would be, if I ask you, what does rule number 2 mean? You should know what that means. And really, these rules should be so important that they are obeyed without exception by everybody all the time. Now, that's what the constitutions are supposed to be. They're supposed to be civil law contracts. They're not common law judgments, or they're not vision statements. They're supposed to be obeyed as written. Now, I'm going to guess that a good number of you have read the federal Constitution. How many in here have read the federal Constitution? Well, it looks like not everybody, but a good number. Now, if you've read the federal Constitution, you know that you really shouldn't see the federal government very much at all, unless you are going to actually counterfeit, which is not really all that well specified in the federal Constitution what that means. You should be able to use whatever you want for money. But unless you're going to be a counterfeiter, unless you're going to commit treason, unless you're going to be working overseas across borders, you should not see the federal Constitution. So what that leads me to, if you want constitutional rule of law, how many people want constitutional rule of law? All right, this is where I'm going to get nasty. How many of you have read the Indiana Constitution? 1, 2, very few, and that's what I see everywhere I go. Now, you don't understand the federal Constitution unless you've read the state Constitution, because it's really the state Constitution that you should see every day. It is the state Constitution that really Lugar is supposed to be obeying more than just about anybody. The original design was we were supposed to have a bicameral Congress, 2 houses. One of those houses was supposed to represent states. And they were supposed to be chosen by the states so they could be withdrawn by the states if they didn't keep up to snuff and they didn't represent Indiana. And what is Indiana if not that thing that's contracted by the Indiana Constitution? That's what Indiana is. Indiana is not, we have so many symbols. We pledge allegiance to one of them. We have all these other abstractions like agencies and things that we breathe life into. They're not really real so much as they are contractual things or things that we create with words. The words that create Indiana are the Indiana Constitution. Now, I'm hoping to come back here. I'm hoping I don't offend you all immediately, such that you're going to kick me out and not let me come back. But what I would like to do is I would sort of like to elucidate exactly what constitutional rule of law means, because we are so far from it that it is a huge paradigm shift to think what life would be like without a standing army, to understand that, that we don't have a standing army because 1903's Dick Act was completely unconstitutional. We're supposed to have militias? That's actually still written in the state constitution. Our governor is the commander-in-chief of that. Now, I know this sounds freakish to some people. It sounds, retrograde. It sounds dumb. But it works for Switzerland. It was supposed to work for us. It did work for us for the first couple hundred years, really, until we decided to become an imperial empire and have endless wars, since the war to end all wars. Now, I guess, when it comes to what constitutional rule of law actually is, what I'd like to also do is present a picture. Because what I want more than anything is for you guys to understand what it is that rule of law would mean, what life would be like under it, and I want you to want that. Because one thing I know for sure, if you really know about something, and if you really want something, let's just say, for instance, I've met people who can tell me the vertical jump height of their favorite basketball star, because they love basketball. Now, they can't tell me who their state rep is, but they can tell me every sort of stat about their basketball star, football star, baseball star. They can go back to 1920 and tell me, batting statistics. If that's what they're interested in, they'll know it. Now, I know that we don't want rule of law because we haven't studied it yet. My job is to make you want it, because I know who's in charge here. I know that candidates don't matter. I've run for office myself enough to know that candidates don't matter. You guys are the ones who decide what matters and what a candidate is going to be. Now, so far, not to pick on you or anybody in particular, nobody's ever mentioned anything about like libertarians, green parties, anything like it. It's always two. To me, if you're going to vote for any entrenched party candidate right now, you got some splaining to do. Because I've seen where the money comes from for both of those parties. It's the central bankers that some of you guys probably think are the root of all evil, the money changers that Christ chased out of the temple. If you think about what it is that is really behind a lot of our troubles, we do that lesser evil strategic voting stuff all the time. We think about, oh gosh, well, we have to play by their rules, don't we? No, you don't. What we really ought to do is learn what it is we want and ask for it. We haven't asked for it. We haven't asked for constitutional rule of law. You don't have people like unions. If they want something, they'll get out in the middle of the street and they'll march for it and they'll ask for it and they'll get it because they know what they want, they know what they're asking for, and there's really no question about, well, they know what they want, those people don't know what they want. You win. If you know what you want, you're going to get it. Now, if we decide that we want constitutional rule of law, we have to know what that's going to mean. And I would like to be able to start laying this out. And I will tell you frankly, there are a lot of people just recently, it used to be kind of a weird thing. I felt like I was the only one in Indiana who had ever read constitutions, and I was a weirdo for talking about constitutional rule of law. Some people, like your brother, still thinks I'm a weirdo talking about the Constitution. But, the fact is, this used to be what made America work. And we have to talk about how that's supposed to work, and we have to lay this picture out, and we have to present that as something that's something we want. We have to ask for it. We have to vote for it. And hang all of this, the strategic voting and lesser evils and political parties and Richard Lugar. They're not the ones who I want to talk to right now. You can call your representative. That's interesting. That's good stuff. You should do that. But really, before we get too much further down this road, we have to decide what it is that we really want. Because frankly, I don't know what conservative and liberal means anymore. I don't know. Those words have been thrown around so much, I haven't the foggiest idea. And I hear Christians talking about things as if, there's any unity in what a Christian ethic is. But, I have such a different read on so much of this stuff. When it comes to, give unto Caesar what is Caesar's, but render unto God what is God's. The Bible says everything belongs to God. What does that leave for Caesar exactly? We have to get clear on what it is the words we're saying actually mean. And I want to know what that means. I'm on call tonight. What a bad time that is. And when it comes to what it is that we're supposed to be about, let's not use words like conservative and liberal. I would rather just push that aside and say, let's not get distracted by that. Because if you start getting into the Constitution, what I hope to start doing and getting very specific about it, I would like to be able to lay out every bit of the Indiana Constitution such that you understand the federal Constitution better, and that you understand how life is supposed to work, and how it is supposed to be that you're going to ask for this. Because it's not difficult. It's dirt simple. And as far as what issues we should address first, I've gone for fair tax and things like that. I've proposed all of that, but we live in a country where laws don't matter. And if you propose new laws in the context of a government that doesn't care about laws, what are you really doing? It's like when people are proposing new gun laws and they're saying, well, we need to increase the rights of gun owners by passing this new law. Give me a living break. What you're really doing is dismissing the constitutions. Indiana's constitution is unequivocal. You have the right to arm yourself. There isn't any caveat. There is no subsection B. You are supposed to be able to arm yourself. And the fact that we keep adding new laws to this and making it more complicated and making more room for lawyers to make words in courtroom, just dicing this out like incantations. I'll throw this Latin phrase at you, and they'll throw another Latin phrase at me. Get over it. Let's read these things, and let's talk about them. And that's really all I want to do. That's more or less my introduction I want to see. Does anybody have any questions so far? Well, come on, you gotta have some kind of question. And if you haven't read the Indiana Constitution, All right, what I